So in this class, we are going to study about Kubernetes namespace. Okay, kind of a very trick, simple thing, but very important thing. And it's important is being asked in many interviews, like why do we use namespace? What are the relevance? What is the relevance of using the namespace? So before going and answering all these questions, we'll look into the couple of basic questions like what is this namespace? What are its use cases, and at the end, I will look how it works and how we are going to use it. Okay, how it's going to benefit us. So let's see what is this namespace. So suppose you have a Kubernetes cluster, okay, and you have multiple pods, services, deployment, lot of things, right? But what happened that there are, as you have seen, if you create three services, all will be in the service zone. Okay, two deployment, all will be in the deployment part. So in this way, when you do kubectl all, you will get all the services which is currently running. But what happens, they all services running in a single cluster. So if two services, for example, right now what in the previous project we did Mongo and Mongo Express deployment, and both were interlinked to each other, and that's why it was helpful to keep both of them at one place. But suppose if I bring any other, suppose Jenkins, having Jenkins on the same cluster, would it make sense or will it increase more confusion?
More.
More confusion,
Yes.
right? You can have a Jenkins, you can have other, this one, other Docker or any other images whose pod or the services which has no link with your database in Mongo Express. So it will create more confusion to keep them in the same name, same area, same cluster. So what it does, namespace, organize your resources. So whatever the resources you have, it will organize it and virtual cluster inside the cluster. So it will create another cluster inside a cluster. So for one type of application, you keep all your services or components in one name in one virtual cluster. For other, you can keep the other virtual cluster. So in this way, if I want to see only things related to my database, I'll just go to this namespace. If I want to see only things related to backend, I'll go to this namespace. So this is how we organize things in the namespace. So if you do kubectl get namespace, you will get four. By default, four namespaces are there. Default, kube node lease, kube public, and kube system. Do not look at the last one because when you do the ingress part, this one get created, and this screenshot I've taken later on that one. So if you do on your system right now, just type this command quickly, kubectl get namespace, and I'll show you mine. Since I'm having this Kubernetes dashboard, do not look at this one because you can see it's 16-hour back I got created, this ingress and this one. So these two, just forget these two. The one that is 6 days, 8 hours back, see only those because I have this minikube since 6 days in my machine. So this 4 default got created at that very moment. So have you typed on your machine?
No.
Do it. Yeah, now. Do kubectl get namespace. Done?
No, actually that window वो escape नहीं हो रहा है पहले का.
Just type cls वो क्लियर हो जाएगा स्क्रीन। कंट्रोल सी, फर्स्ट टाइप कंट्रोल सी to exit any running.
हम्म।
Now type this command.
या डिफॉल्ट
Default.
क्यूब नोड लीड्स क्यूब पब्लिक
Hmm.
एंड क्यूब सिस्टम।
Only four, right?
यस।
So that's the four you get
हम्म।
whenever you do that. Now let's see what is the use of these four. Okay. First we'll see cube system. So again, you need not to create or modify any namespace having this cube system because by default you are getting. And this is for the system processes. Okay. Whatever the running process you have in Kubernetes, okay, all those running process will be inside this namespace. And master and kubectl process also inside this one cube system. Okay, so no need to modify, no need to put any other component inside this one. You have your master and kubectl processes running in this one. That's it. Mhm. The next one is kube public. Public itself means all the public components. Okay, public accessible components, a config map which contain the cluster information. So basically a URL kind of it will show you for the public to use the master Kubernetes and rest of the stuff. So if you do kubectl cluster info, cluster info, it will give you this public part. Okay. So basically, these two services are running inside those inside that public namespace where the people can access the URL. Okay. And then you have this default. So default, okay, cube nodes, did I miss? So nodes is basically the nodes. You have a master nodes and you have a worker nodes. So worker node component you will see over here on this cube node list. I missed that part as well. Like, and then at the end you have default. So default comes basically whenever you create whatever the resources you created just now, all those resources are inside this default one. Like you created Mongo Express, okay, all those services inside this default namespace. So if you do not mention any namespace, it will come under this default one. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. If you want to create your own namespace, kubectl create namespace. Let's do it. I want to create my own namespace, so I'll do create what name? In this case, my namespace. See, a namespace got created with the name of. Now, if I do kubectl get, either you type namespace or you type ns only for the short form, you'll still get the same result. So I can see my namespace got created. So now onwards, if I want to create any other services or deployment, I can specifically put inside this my namespace. So it will be easier for me. So instead of this vague name, I'll keep it as a backend, front end, or database. So all the database component will be inside the database namespace. All the front end component will be inside the front end namespace. Later on, it will be easy for me to access.
Oh.
Mhm. So what are namespaces? If anybody will ask you, it's a cluster inside a cluster, or you can say a virtual cluster inside a cluster. Then it's a organizer kind of organizing all your components, and by default you will get a default namespace. So these things you just need to remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Barely people will ask you how many default namespaces you will get.
4.
Four. Their name basically people very rarely in interviews they'll ask. But if
Hmm.
you remember, that's good. Okay. Now, why do we use this one? So the very first answer you can give is to organize all our components. Okay. But there are a couple of more uses, like the first thing. First is everything in one namespace. Okay.
Hmm.
That's the issue. If you have everything, I told you just now that whatever you create any services, by default, all the services come in default namespace. So if I do not provide any other namespace, all the services I'll create, whether it is of Jenkins, whether it is of MongoDB, whether it is of Nginx, all those services will be created in a single default namespace. And since my my components do not have any relation with each other, it will become very vague and unorganized. So it will be difficult for us to link, interlink, see the logs. It gets difficult. So what do we do? We'll organize it.
Hmm.
Okay, so these are the services: deployment, replica set, services, config map, and even your secrets also. All these
Hmm.
services are inside this default one. But once you do resources group together, for example, if I have the database services like MongoDB and MongoExpress, I'll keep it inside this database namespace.
Hmm.
Okay. If I have monitoring one, suppose Prometheus and Grafana, I'll keep it inside this. Elastic Stack, I'll keep it inside another namespace. Then Nginx or Ingress, I'll keep it inside another namespace. So see how organized it is. If I want to see all the components of database, I'll just type the namespace of database and I'll get all the components inside. Clear? That's
Yes.
the first use.
Hmm.
Officially, you will find one more statement that if there is a small project, okay, where less number of people are working on it, so you should not use namespace. You should go with the default one. Okay.
Okay.
But instead of the smaller project, if see the how many components you are making. For example, the one that we created right now, like Mongo Express and MongoDB, both are interlinked to each other. So if having that one in the default one, it's okay. No need to create extra namespace.
Hmm.
But suppose if you're having some more components which are not interlinked to each other and that are somewhat important for your project, then you can definitely go and use it, the namespace. Okay. That's the first important part. Second is the suppose two teams are working on one project having the project name same project name but different configuration. So if you keep them in a single namespace, it will do what? It will show you the conflicts. You cannot have a single app name in a single namespace. Got it? So that's the issue you will face. So it's
Hmm.
better to create another namespace if you are going to have a same application name.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
So sometime what happens? It may work in the sense one application will override the other one. So the data of other one will be lost. So they override the first team over the deployment and the data will be lost for the first team.
Yeah.
The third important, so first important we looked into the resource management. Second important we looked into the conflict management. Okay, there should not be any. Third one is for the sharing of the data. Okay, resource sharing. So in organization, what happened? They have this development stage and they have this staging stage. Instead of development, they call it a production stage. So whatever comes in production, first all of them get tested in staging. If it works in staging, then only it will work in the they deploy in the deployment part or the production part.
Hmm.
So what happen if it's better to keep two different namespaces, okay? And for staging, if you're doing your testing, then do it on the staging namespace. Once it get confirmed, then put it in the deployment namespace. Okay. And if these two are using some other components, because both will be using the same component, right? They're using the
Hmm.
same application. So I'll keep other resources like the Nginx or Ingress controller or Elastic Stack in a separate namespace. I can use both the namespace for staging and for deployment at different time. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the third, resource sharing. Let's see the fourth important part in the production, which is blue-green deployment. Any idea what is blue-green deployment?
No.
No. So see, suppose you build an app or you send it to the customer. Okay. Now what happened? Customer got an error or
Hmm.
there is some bug in your application and it's not running. What will you do? All the customers that are using your application will suddenly start leaving your
Yeah.
application or website. You
Yes.
do not want that, right?
Hmm.
So what you will keep one backend application for that, a previous version or any other version behind your production. One you will show live to the people. Suppose this blue part is live to the people. Green
Hmm.
part is behind that one, behind one version, I can say. If this blue one is not working, people are not able to access it or something happened to this one,
Hmm.
what I will do, I will stitch all the traffic directly to this green one, which is working. And I will start working on this blue and see what is the problem with this one. Once the problem is resolved, I will again switch back them to this blue part.
Hmm.
Okay, in this way, our website will be continuously running and we don't have that negative image. Got it? Lot of
Yes.
this generally happens in the website cases. In desktop application, you cannot do. Okay.
Hmm.
So even in case of blue green production, there is a sharing of the resources. Okay. So the third part simply you can say the resources are getting shared among the staging and the deployment among the production as well. Fourth one is the access resources. Suppose project one, there's a project one namespace, project two namespace. Okay. If project one wants to access some data from the project two, okay, and I don't want to give them the access, I can deny it, okay, by creating another namespace.
Hmm.
Suppose if they all the components are single namespace, anyone can access the other component unless if they are in different namespace, you cannot access. Okay, so you have the right to deny any permission coming from the other namespace if you have the isolated namespace. If you don't, then it will create a problem because both of your components will be in single namespace. So there anyone can come and access your application component. Got it?
Yes.
So any limitation you can give CPU, RAM, storage as per the namespace. These things you can provide.
Hmm.
Resource limited. Okay, I think. And this one, you cannot access most of the resources from the another namespace. That's again one thing. Few of the things that you want to be shared among the different namespace. For example, this DB database or the config. So I want this config map to use this database part. Okay,
Hmm.
these two config map are different in project and project two, but their database is single. In organization, you will find a single database running different projects over it. So single database should have the access of different namespace, or different namespace should have the access of this database. Okay, so this also we can manage, though it is coming from the previous access. For benefit, we looked into it. First one was resource management in the virtual cluster. Second
Hmm.
was team specific project we can build on the, no team conflict will be there. Third one was the blue green production, resource sharing among the different namespace. Fourth one is the access accessibility towards the namespaces. Okay. Now, how do I define that this database belongs to, this component belong to database namespace? So in config map, you simply type dot database. So it will understand that I have to go and search for dot database namespace. Inside that one, I will search MSQL services. Okay, that's it. If you give any service name dot the namespace, so it will be developed inside that. Or there are a couple of things more. Just quickly, we look into it. That which component can be created within namespace. There are some component which are created in the namespace, and some component need not to be created within namespace. For example, this volume, which is open to all, and the node, which is open to all. Inside the node, you go and create your projects, or node is a different one. You can create a separate your namespace and put your components over there. So if you want to see what are the resources to be created inside namespace and what not, if what not means what are the services which is open to all, we'll go with a kubectl API resources hyphen hyphen namespace d equal to false. So if I'll show you kubectl API resources namespace d equal to false, will tell you that what are the resources that need not to be used. Okay, there is some error. Let's see kubectl API resources. Right. Just let me check. kubectl API resources hyphen hyphen space D. Oh, we missed hyphen hyphen. So see, these are the resources
Hmm.
that you can get easily without creating namespace. Need not to create namespace. For example, this node, okay,
Hmm.
namespace itself, volume, attachments, okay. These are the known things. Then you can say ingress classes. These are open. You need not API services, which is a component of master.
Okay.
So these need not to be created inside a namespace. But if I want to know what are the things need to be created inside namespace, I'll just do this one too. So these things you can create inside namespace. Your pods, okay, pod templates you can create. Then endpoints, config maps we can create inside that one. Ingress is should also be created inside a namespace. Okay, cron job. What else? Daemon set. Yeah, I'll talk about this daemon set in the later classes. The deployment, replica set, stateful states. These all
Hmm.
things should be created inside a namespace. Got it the idea? What created and what not to be created?
Yes.
Mhm. Interviewer may try to trick you. Suppose I created a volume inside a namespace. Okay, so what should be the better name? Like this. They just try to test you. whether you have idea of what to create inside a namespace and what not to. Okay.
Okay.
Um, we know how to create a namespace. Okay.
Mm.
kubectl create namespace. And if you want to see what are the resources inside that namespace, you can just type kubectl get all hyphen name and whatever the namespace you created. Or the if I kubectl get all hyphen n means namespace and the name def a default. So it will show you what are the component inside your default namespace. So by default, all the services were created inside default namespace. But if I want to see kubectl get ns, okay, let's see inside this one. Do you think there will be anything inside this namespace?
No.
No, it won't show anything.
Mm.
If you want to see the cube system, you can do that one. Do the experiment. See. So daemon said there's a, I'll talk about this one.
Mm.
Deployment, these are the main thing, okay, which you do not see, you need not do, okay. Kube proxy, which was the part of worker node, okay.
Mm.
Core DNS, this is again for giving the URL, DNS system, a unique name, okay. Deployment, replica set, these things are the important one you will see only inside this namespace. Similar way, you go and do the testing with other namespace, see what are the things, resources available inside that one. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And in YAML, if I have to mention a namespace, then this, but be clear before giving
Mm.
the namespace over here, you need to have that namespace available in your system. Then only it will go and assign it to that namespace. This config map will be created inside this namespace. Okay. And the
Okay.
database URL service is coming from the database namespace. So this namespace also need to be created in that place. If it is not there, then it will create a show error.
Okay.
So before creating or placing the name, just be clear that you have this namespace in your system. Now,
Mm.
how to download the name? If you have to only, you have to check that if you have to switch the namespace. Suppose you already have my application running on default, right? And I
Mm.
want to switch to any other namespace. For that, you need kubens, kube namespace. So you can
Oh.
simply, you need to install this one, okay? Through this package manager, choco install kubens.
Mm.
I already did it, so you won't see in my, but you can try this command. Okay,
Okay.
choco install kubens. So it will install that one. And then you can change your uh, current running namespace with the different namespace. Okay, so do some experiment with this one. Okay,
Mm.
Kubernetes. You will get the commands how to change it in the online. Okay, I didn't get the time to look into that one.
Okay.
But namespace, go with the Kubernetes. Okay, so that's all for the namespace. We looked too much depth into that one. Generally, it
Mm.
consists only the one lecture for people. They just say that it's a virtual namespace. So whatever the component you are creating, create inside a namespace. That's it. No further discussion on it.
Okay.
But now we got to know all the benefits, all the commands that are
Mm.
important. Okay. So it won't be a hectic to again go back and look into this namespace. I guess all the concept related to namespace is clear now.
Yes. Yes.
We can stop the recording over here.